Hey everyone, Demonite here. So, as you might already know, while I was working on some other videos, I noticed something about class mods in Borderlands 2 and TPS. There are significant discrepancies when it comes to what class mods have listed as their passive boosts and what those boosts actually are. Certain stats are listed incorrectly. In fact, every class mod that passively increases fire rate or reload speed has incorrect stats. There is one exception. Krieg's Wound class mod lists the correct value, probably because it functions like a kill skill instead of granting a passive boost. For a lot of them, they add nearly twice as much to a specific stat than what it says on the card. The Factory Second class mod, for example, lists 33% reload speed and 25% fire rate at level 70 with the best parts. However, in reality it adds 48.5% to both of those stats. The way I checked was with Cheat Engine. Here you can see that the assault rifle I'm currently holding has a fire rate of 2.5. Cheat Engine lists the multiplicative inverse of the in-game value, so for 2.5 that's 0.4. Now if we add a skill that boosts fire rate, for example Drop the Hammer with 25%, the in-game value gets multiplied by 1.25, while the inverse in Cheat Engine gets divided by 1.25. That results in 0.32. If instead of the skill we equip the Factory Second class mod, which also lists 25%, we get roughly 0.269 as the result, which is equal to 0.4 divided by 1.485, meaning the class mod actually grants 48.5% fire rate. We can also use both the class mod and the skill, which would be a total of 50% according to the in-game values, but it's actually 73.5%, and that's why it results in a fire rate of roughly 0.23. Of course, I didn't create this cheat table myself, so I can't really 100% guarantee that it's not just Cheat Engine messing up when it comes to class mods, but it would be really odd for it to only do so with class mods and not skills or other things. What I did do is time the reload speed on a recording for various different buffs. Here you can see 3 clips. The one at the top was with Exton's Veteran class mod, which lists 39% reload speed but actually grants 65%. The one in the middle was with a badass rank boost of 38.9% reload speed, and the one at the bottom was without any buffs, so you can see that the class mod does indeed give you a higher boost. After I had found the correct values for all fire rate and reload speed class mods, I went on to test Kits and Relics. The relics I tested worked fine and listed all the correct values, but Kits did not. With the exception of the Clear Skies Kit, since it also functions like a kill skill. The Hyperventilator Kit is also special in that it actually grants less than what it lists, and even more confusing is that at the same time it also permanently reduces fire rate while equipped. Now I did test other stats aside from fire rate and reload speed as well. Accuracy is another stat that's listed incorrectly, but unfortunately I haven't been able to test all accuracy modifiers of class mods and Kits because Cheat Engine simply doesn't show any change at all for some of them. Exton Specialist and Ranger class mods, for example, both list 37% at max stats. The Specialist does change Cheat Engine's accuracy value, and it turns out to actually grant a 57.5% boost. The Ranger, however, does not show any change, even though you can clearly see the crosshair tightening in-game. If we compare the Ranger to the Specialist in-game though, you can see the Specialist grants a much higher boost, so that 37% on the Ranger might even be correct, but I can't know for certain. Another stat I'm highly suspicious of is shield recharge delay, but the Cheat Engine table I'm using doesn't show that stat, so I haven't been able to test this either. Everything else I tested seemed to work fine though, including cooldown rate, which is calculated in the same way things like fire rate are calculated. It should also be safe to assume that anything that directly boosts your damage is listed correctly, otherwise we would have probably discovered it way earlier. Hopefully. Damage reduction is technically both listed correctly and incorrectly at the same time, as I mentioned in my video about it. What's also interesting is that if you apply the calculation I talked about in the damage reduction video, being the multiplicative inverse of 1 minus the in-game percentage, you arrive at the true value for a lot of these stats. But not for all of them, the Factory Second class mod being an obvious example. It applies to the 33% reload speed, but not to the 25% fire rate, as both are actually 48.5% of course. I made a new Google document where I listed all of these class mods and OS kits with their correct values at max level. Additionally, I included some other things related to class mods and OS kits, for example Athena's Storm class mod, which lists electrocute damage but actually boosts all shock damage. The link can be found in the description below, and it will be updated should I find more discrepancies. And if you find any yourself or any mistakes I made, feel free to let me know in the comments and I'll update the document accordingly. Should any relics or perhaps shields turn out to list incorrect stats, those will be added as well of course. Also, while testing this stuff, I found that Zero's precision skill is only 4% accuracy per point instead of 5%, so that's lovely. Maybe I'll make another document about everything that's wrong or unlisted about skills at some point, since there's a few things to go over with them as well. Perhaps even a video about it, but that's for another day. Anyway, not a very long video, but I figured this information was still worth sharing as it's quite a significant difference for a lot of those stats and could quite possibly impact your builds. As always, thanks for watching and see ya everyone.